we'll see what we come across. And any questions you guys have got, it's probably a bit in depth. A lot of stuff I've probably covered that I didn't need to cover. But I'm just trying to sort of throw it out there that there is a lot of things we can do. And hopefully this sort of gives you a bit of an overview of what things are involved in your networking between your controllers, your computers, your switches, everything like that. So if it is too much, I apologise, but we'll see what we can do. Come on. No. So yeah, see, a bit of fun. I want to try and get a little bit going on for you guys. So basically, as I said, the aim of the presentation is to give you a new understanding of networking, to explain the IP addressing and how it really applies to us and where we use it, to show you how to use useful software and commands, NetScan and also command prompt, which are things like ping, IP config, the ARP, all that kind of stuff. A lot of it, again, as I said, you guys, the only things you'll probably ever use is maybe, or you'll use ping, that's a big tool, and then maybe IP config if you're trying to find things. But ping's a big one for us. It's probably the only real one we'll use. And then obviously we want to try and get some questions out of the way and see what we can come up with, and hopefully if you've got any issues, we can try and get to the bottom of it. I want to sort of touch base just basically on switches and routers, IP addresses, try and explain what they are. Subnet masks, that's probably going to be a bit new to some, in the sense of what it does and what you can use it for. MAC addresses, obviously each device has a MAC address, and then command prompt, and then there's some NetScan software out there that we do tend to use as well, which is very handy. So basically, network switch it's a network switch is a small hardware device, as it says on the screen, that joins multiple computers together within one LAN. I should have practiced this a bit more. The switches manage the flow of data across the network by transmitting a received message only to one or more devices it's intended. Each network device connected to a switch can be identified using a MAC address, allowing the switch to regulate the flow of traffic. This maximises the security and efficiency of the network. Switches can be managed, which means you can actually give them an IP address and log in and manage ports, PoE. A lot of switches nowadays come managed, but for what we use, unmanaged is fine, or commonly known as a dumb. So it doesn't take up an IP address, just sits there and it just allows the traffic to go through. There are a few guys getting into the managed switches and having fun, locking themselves out. But anyway, we'll leave that one quiet then, won't we? What's that? What's wrong with that? Well, creating a loop, didn't you? So then a difference between a router and a switch. Basically, a router is connected to two or more data lines from different networks, as opposed to a network switch, which connects data lines from one single network. When a data packet comes in on one of the lines, the router reads the address information in the packet to determine its ultimate destination. The most familiar types of routers are the home and small office routers that simply pass the data, such as web pages, email, instant messaging, videos between the home computers and the internet. An example of a router would be known as cable or DSL router, which connects to the internet through an ISP, Internet Service Provider. Again, I know you guys can probably read it all. I'm just reading through it as I set out. So an IP address is assigned to every computer on the Ethernet network. Like the street address for your home, an IP address identifies network computers. It helps traffic flow between computers because each one has its own IP address. An IP address is formatted as a series of 4 values separated by periods. So for example, 192.168.10.10. Each value ranges from 0 through to 255. For your home or office network, the IP address is most likely assigned by the router using something called DHCP. Now, for us, we'll be using static for majority of our equipment. I'm pretty sure I do say that a bit. But basically, the router keeps track of every computer's NIC, which is the network interface card. So where you plug your RJ45 plug into, that's your NIC. And then it maps the IP addresses to the NIC every time the computer joins the network. In the end, all computers have a unique IP, otherwise you get duplicate IP problems, Ben. And the world is safe for local networking. So basically, what we've got is the IP addresses assigned to your PC on a network is a local address. So similar IP addresses are used on the internet to identify domains and other resources. those are internet IP addresses separate from your local address. The router is assigned an IP address by your internet service provider, and that IP address is an internet IP address. It's shared by all PCs on your network. So if you've got 10 computers in your house, the outside world sees it as one IP address to the world. But inside you'll actually have 10 for each computer. So you could say you're downloading on that computer on the same Wi-Fi network. It'll actually say, okay, your outside IP address is this. Again, not really relevant to us because we're all local, but just trying to give it a bit of an idea. And then I've got, if the router doesn't assign an IP address, one must be configured manually. This is when it's called a static IP. And again, that's what we use pretty much constantly. And then no two computers on the network can have the same IP address. Ben, I'm really enforcing that on you. Basically, the IP addresses discussed here is the IPv4 addresses. Because the number of unique addresses is limited, a standard, IPv6, has been established. I doubt we'll ever even contemplate using it. Anyway, but we'll grow with that as it comes. Just a bit of an overview of what our network sort of looks like, public versus private IP use. So your WAN IP is the outside IP address. So that's what you actually look to the outside. Then you've got your ADSL modem or your NBN modem. And then on the side you've got your LAN IP, which is your local area. And so then each device goes through. You've got your boards, controllers. I didn't want to pick one in particular, so I just put 3. And then little Vixen computer on the right there. It's really chugging away and doing a good job. And it can have, for example, if you've got 2 interface cards, you can run 2 separate networks from that computer. A lot of us would just use the one, unless you do segregate your networks. So segregation would mean you've got this side for your computer going outside to the network, and then your other one, your network card, might control just your lights, or media servers, or things like that, or cameras, things like that. There's 3 classes of private IP addresses, and they are the Class A, which is the 10.000 to 10.255.255, gives a lot of IP addresses, over 16 million of them. Then your Class B is 172, yada, yada, yada. And then Class C, which is the one we commonly use, although a lot of the controllers do come in the Class A network. I tend to keep most of my stuff in Class C. I highly doubt we're ever going to get over 65,000 IP addresses on your network, unless you've got a lot of lights. It won't be long, will it? The amount of lights you're doing. So basically what I've done is I've just done a brief rundown of what a subnet mask is. So basically it determines what device IP addresses can communicate with. In other words, it masks the network from viewing certain IP address ranges unless they're in the same subnet range. For example, a subnet of 255.255.255.0 would allow traffic only to communicate on, let's say, for example, the IP range of 192.168.1.1 through to 192.168.1.24. 254, sorry. So an IP address 192.168.1.1 will not communicate with a device with the IP address 192.168.2.1 on this subnet, for example. But if you were to open it to 255.255.0.0, basically what that'll do is anything between 192.168.0.1 through to 192.168.255.254 will operate within that range. So it's essentially opening it, so yeah. This is a brief explanation, but there are so many options with subnet masks. You can lock them down completely. Like you can go to the point where you only have 2 IP addresses talking to each other. So there's a lot you can do with it if you really want. Again, a lot of it is not valid with us, but it's just sort of trying to give you guys a bit of an overview of why we've got them and what they're there for. Same as the MAC address, really. Basically, the MAC address, it's also called the physical address. Is a unique identifier assigned to network interfaces for communications on the physical network segment. They're used as a network address for most network technologies, including Ethernet and Wi-Fi. So most things nowadays, your phones, everything's got an individual MAC address. And it's all, you'd see it all on your modems, whatever you're logged into, there'll be a track of it. And then that's a basic example of a MAC address and what it looks like. You can see it in the 2 formats. Command prompt, you'll see it in the bottom one, and the top one might be how it's written on the actual device itself. That'll come in handy. MAC addresses come in handy if you've got say, 10 controllers, and you can see their MAC address, but you're not sure the IP address, then you'll see with the software later, you'll see that MAC address is this IP address. It's very, very, very handy little thing to sort of know about. Which leads me to the command prompt section. Every Windows machine has it, and again, it is a very, very great tool that we use a lot to communicate, test, find issues, whatever we've got. But basically, it interacts with the user through a command line interface. It is used to execute entered commands. There's a ton of commands you can use in there, and we won't use any of them. We wouldn't even. Brad's probably sitting there going, I know millions of them. But yeah. Sorry?
Wait till you get to PowerShell, which is the new version.
Yeah, I've just skipped that one.
That's exponentially bigger.
Oh, don't say that. So basically, yeah, most of the tasks are used to automate, like they automate tasks via scripts and batch files. So, you know, you can actually use a lot of this to open programs, close programs, transfer files from computers to computers. It's a great little thing that you can set up to run in the background. You don't even need to worry about it if you want to do that kind of stuff. And it is sometimes incorrectly referred to as a DOS prompt, or as MS-DOS itself, but it's not. So basically, to use command prompt, now there is two things you can actually do with command prompt. You can run as a standard user unless you've logged in as an admin, or you can run as admin. Admin gives you more rights when you're using it, so you can actually save files and that to the C drive, but we don't. Again, we don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. So basically, you need to enter the valid command, which I'm going to show you in a couple of secs. The most common ones we would be using. As I said, there's a list of countless ones you can do. As I said, a large number of commands exist in the system, but basic ones we'd probably use you probably wouldn't use if you've got NetScan. ipconfig shows your local computer, all the details regarding IP address, MAC address, gateway, all that kind of stuff. It's very handy if you want to know what your machine's IP address is. Ping is the one you're going to use. You'll use ping. I don't know how many times I've used ping, but if you're after an IP address and you can't see it on the network, you'll use ping. You'll get in and use ping, start pinging it, and see if it works. Then you can go out there, you can unplug it. If you do, I'll show you. There's a couple of videos I've got that'll actually go through and show you. You can set it to continuously ping. So you could stand there and you could go, all right, I need to go out here, but I need to see if it comes online by the time I get back. So you let it run. You go out, you plug it in, come back, and it's running. You'll see it. Yes, we're getting a reply. As I said, you'll see in the video. I don't know why I put traceroute in. We're not going to use that. It's just another one that you can. It basically shows where it's going, what it's passing through. If you've got firewalls, if you've got routers, I've got a video there as well showing me pinging Google and going through multiple steps to get to that point, and then you'll see that's basically what it's tracing, all the devices it's connecting through on the way. So some command prompt examples. This is the ARP, and it better start. Come on. So basically, if you type that in, it'll show you all the physical addresses and the IP addresses on the network that you're on. My one I did was I've got a few different networks on that one at home. And so you can see that I've got the 2.2 range and I've got the 5.2 range. So that computer will actually talk to both. Other ones won't. I'll lock the other ones down so the wife doesn't need to see those. It's just a CCTV. It's not that drive. Those drives in that box, Ben. I know you want to get access to that one. And then you've got the IP config. So you type IP config. It'll give you all your details in the sense of your IP address, your subnet, and then your gateway. And then this one here doesn't show because I haven't done IP config all. If you do all, it'll actually show you your MAC address and further details like your DNS, which again, we don't need to worry about any of that because it's a lot further along the chain than what we need to worry about. Basically, the ones you need to worry about is your local IP range and your subnets, and then MAC addresses if you need them. What else? Now, you do actually have ping help, and I'm pretty sure it's ping question mark, ping H. I can never remember. But
//
question mark, yeah. So you can actually go into ping help and find out exactly what it is. And it'll show you all the different slashes, forces, all that kind of stuff you can do. But that's the basic ping right there. So you got 192.168.22.1. I've pinged that. I've got 4 replies back, so it's good connection. Now if I do space -T, it'll continuously ping until I push Control C to stop. So as I said, you can let that run as long as you need to. And I'm pinging another one out at the moment. And then you can go, make sure you can unplug it and stops, come back, it'll all show up, or to a point, depending how long you've been pinging it for. There is another option, you can actually ping to text if you want to save the file to say you know. But this is stuff we wouldn't really need to worry about. It's more the pinging side of things that we would, because you do want to make sure you can ping your devices and, yeah. Yep. Is that X-Lights? Is that X-Lights? Oh, very nice. That'd be great. Definitely. That's, yeah, definitely. Sorry? How much? I'll think about it. Let me think about it. And then, as I said, the trace route, you wouldn't need to worry about that. I'll show you it anyway. It just basically breaks down where it goes, what it sees on its travels. So I'm doing my IP address at home, which will give me absolutely nothing because it's literally just going to the same router and that's it. But if I do Google, for example, which should be in a sec, you'll see it passes through a lot of traffic. Oh, sorry. Before it actually gets to the point it needs to be. I'm still pinging these numbers. So it's handy if you want to know things like that, but we don't tend to sort of worry about that. But yeah, you can ping Google to see if you've got external network connections. You can do all different things. I was showing Ben, you can ping ACL if you wanted to and know what their IP address is and then hack it and boot Ben. Or just take him off the account altogether. So you can see it's going through all these different devices before it actually gets to the point. Yeah, a lot on the way through. But we'll move from there. So the next piece of software I highly recommend you'd get would be what's called NetScan. It's free, and it does essentially what we were just looking at, finding all devices on your network with just a couple of clicks. You can set ranges, you can set whatever you need. It's fantastic. As I said, it's free. See, free. Really good option there. It's got a lot of in-depth features that we will never touch. I haven't touched, and I do a lot of this at work. But yeah, I know IT guys probably will know a little bit more. Yeah. But yeah, that's the website if you're interested. It's just softperfect.com, and then on there you'll find the network scanner. Again, I'll just show you basically what it looks like when you open it. It's a simple little program. You just put the range you want to see, and it'll go through hidden things. It'll go through everything along the way. And why is it not working? So you can see the range I've done is 192.168.0.1 all the way through to 255. So you hit start scanning, it'll go through and it'll show you what is on my 0.1 to 255 range. No idea why that started, but anyway. So yeah, you can see what I've got there. There's not a lot on that side because I don't really use that range. But you can see files, folders, everything on certain PCs that are, that are open. And then if I went to this range, you'd probably see a few more devices. But if you're looking for things, this is a fantastic tool. It shows you the MAC addresses, so you can actually say, all right, this is our device, this is what I'm looking for, perfect, that's the IP address of it. So if you're not sure of it, you can do it. So again, if you've got issues, this is fantastic just to sort of click on and see. But yeah, I mean, that's basically pretty much it. Just a brief rundown. As I said, probably some of it was a bit too much, but just wanted to sort of touch base on it. Any questions?
Do you use Falcon?
No. Oh, no. I've got one, but I use straight off the computer. So I've toyed around with the Pi, but I was going to use it last year, but I kind of held off and didn't, and just used it direct off my computer.
Another piece of software that I use is called Thing.
Yep, I've got it on mine as well. It's great.
What is it?
Thing. Have a look at this. It's a good name.
What is it? Yeah, it is a good name.
It's really slow, so you've
I've
just
seen
got to
that.
be careful with it.
Is that like PC or is it just your phones?
It's phone. So that's everything that's been connected. Like I'm not connected to home, so I can see that last time I did a scan, that one was down
Oh,
because
nice.
it's greyed out. It shows right down to, my beagle bone.
Shit.
Everything.
I haven't heard that one.
It's great.
All right, well there you go. There's another one. Fing. Just remember the name. You won't forget it. Yeah. So, any other questions? If you guys ever get stuck, like in here in chat, and you got anything to do with any questions, there's always guys that are willing to help. Definitely. Ben's pretty good. Just don't let him put 2 IP addresses as one. Or just remember.